All right, everybody, we are back. Paul Russo, Nick Felice, here with you for Fresh Takes. Tuesday night, a special little different kind of episode tonight in a way, as we were discussing a little bit. But obviously, been a couple weeks. I've been doing throughout the whole summer pretty much. But don't fear, we have an announcement about that at the end. That's what we call a tease in the industry, Nick.
About what?
What?
What was the tease? I don't want to spoil
A
it.
tease, we'll tell them at the end of the show.
But what is it? What if I spoil it right now?
I will jump over this thing and punch you,
Is
Nick.
it about what our future shows?
There you go. Attaboy, way to spoil it.
All right. So can I say it?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, welcome to the show. Another great one on tap for you. Yeah. I don't know the topics.
You know the topics. We actually discussed them yesterday. We were ahead of the curve for a change really lately about that.
Yep. This is a 9:30 prime time show.
True.
So almost to those, those throwback 10 p.m. shows. So, yeah, take a seat, pop a squat, and we got a good show on hand for us. Paul, what are we talking about?
Nick, I'm glad you asked. We're going to recap our weekends at the Glen for NASCAR a couple weekends ago now. We'll discuss the Field of Dreams game, something that's interesting with that.
Did you go?
Yes, I flew to Dyersville, Iowa, and no, I was not there. We'll obviously discuss stuff with that, our reaction to it, and then Big Brother. We've made it not to the de facto halfway point, but we've reached a crucial spot.
The first member of the jury will be this week.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so if you like those topics, hang around.
Yeah. Anything to discuss before we jump right in?
I can't believe it's almost September.
Yes, true.
Summer flown by.
Yep.
I can't believe it, but life's flying by. So
yeah, I scored my first ever race this past weekend. That was pretty exciting.
You what?
Race. Scored.
Scored.
Yep.
What's that mean?
I keep track of who's running where and what lap.
Really?
Yep.
Who was it?
It was dirt race, Paradise Speedway. Pretty fun.
Really?
I was part of the crew for that, so.
Wait, what happened?
You
scored. You actually had a race?
Yeah.
And you were on pit crew?
No. Scored. I'm up in the booth. We just write down at each lap who's running where,
And when was this?
Saturday.
Who won?
There were 13 feature races. I cannot remember who won what.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, definitely fun. Can't wait to do it again. I think I'm doing it again this weekend. So.
All right. Where was it?
Paradise.
New York?
In Geneva, yes.
Paradise, Geneva?
Yeah, there's a Paradise. You have no idea about Paradise Speedway, do you?
Nah. I have not heard of it.
Lacy.
Where is it? Where in Geneva?
So if you're on, best way to kind of describe it is if you're out on 96 going towards Phelps, you know where that quarry is, the cement quarry.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, if you take a left down that one road, by the main entrance to it.
I'll have to stop by.
Yeah, you should.
I'll be there.
It's pretty exciting.
All right.
What about you? Anything cool?
No, I sprained my ankle yesterday. I think it might be a high ankle sprain.
Per sources.
I might be out 2 to 6 weeks.
2 to 6 weeks? That's not what you told me.
Yeah, so limping around. But
who are you seeing? The Yankees training staff?
Yeah, exactly. But that's really it for me. That's all I have.
All right. Well, Watkins Glen. A couple weekends ago, obviously now, but
I did find you.
Yes, we did find each other. Fun weekend. We were there in 2 different capacities for us. So it was quite the experience. Obviously, first time for me, NASCAR-wise, being back at the Glen since the pandemic. I've been there once before. I was down there for the Masters Heritage races back in July, but it was fun to have some of the pageantry that I'm used to back at the Glen. Pretty much, I know they sold out grandstand tickets, but definitely was not a full crowd. I think the border still being what I call semi-closed. A lot of Canadians come down for the Watkins event. Still pretty busy though, nonetheless. Obviously, Midway was still not maybe as busy as it usually is with the amount of stuff that they have, but they still had plenty of stuff. A lot of fun. Kyle Larson getting the win on Sunday, but big ups to Corey Heim, Austin Hill, and Ty Gibbs for winning the other races on the weekend, ARCA, Trucks, and Xfinity, respectively. Before we dive, I guess, right in, Nick, how was your experience? Because it was your first time ever at a NASCAR race in general, period. First time at the Glen, and you did it all as a member of the media. So what was it like for you? Because you got the what I call the catered experience, because you literally got food catered. You, unlike us in the stands on Saturday, did not have to run for cover technically when the weather came. So what was it like for you?
Definitely a first experience that a lot of people don't get to have at their first NASCAR race. Yes, so I was part of the media with the Finger Lakes Times. I was writing for the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series on Saturday. Wasn't able to go on Friday and Sunday because I had to be at the office. But, so I got there on Friday, actually. I did stop by, even though I was working at the office. I did stop by on Friday to pick up my credentials, my parking pass. Got to see the first scene of it all. They were just getting, probably a few hours out until the ARCA series ran on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up, picked my stuff up. That was really it. Came back through Watkins. I saw it was popping. People got a bunch of shops, stands going. So the vibe was there.
The gypsy tents, yep.
The vibe was there on Friday. And I was like, you know what? This might be pretty cool. Come back the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I come back, I knew I was going to be there all day. Didn't want to get there, I didn't want to get there when everyone else was getting there, so I came there a little late. I think this first stage was just going on. It was, once I really got settled in, the first stage was over of the Truck Series on Saturday. I get there, I park, I was going to walk over to the media center, which is in the middle of the whole track itself. Because I had a assigned seat there for me in the media center where the writer's room is.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to walk over, and then some guy just came over with one of his golf carts. He's like, get in! So he picked me up.
We're a weird bunch in the NASCAR community.
Saved me a few feet. He was going to. I told him it was my first time ever here at Watkins. And he was going to give me a whole tour. I was like, just take me to the media center. So he took me to the media center. I got settled in. I just sat around. I was like, I'll do a little exploring. This other guy I worked with, Pete Lambos, he had not made it there yet as well. So I walked around before he got there. So I explored the track a little bit. I had my GPS because I really had no idea where I was going. Just seeing the trucks and all that stuff. That was so pretty cool. And then the media center as well. So I go back to the media center, watch a little bit of the race there, watch it because I was also able to go on the pit road and the garage. So I could walk right on pit road. I didn't go on Sunday, so I didn't get to see Michael Jordan like Pete did. That would have been sick to see Michael Jordan in person. But, I get to go through the garages, walk through there a couple times, walk on pit road right where everyone else was, pit crews. Drivers. Guy got one of the trucks crashed in the race. I saw him drive by, a video of it. And driving right to the garage. His day was done. So that was pretty cool. But in the media center, they did have catered food, Paul. Some good food. The best they had, I think, was later on. I think it was during the Xfinity race. They had these great chicken tenders. A little disappointed they only had honey mustard. I was hoping for some barbecue sauce and ketchup.
Honey mustard is better anyway.
I like honey mustard, but that's what I was, So they had some chicken tenders and honey mustard. So that was probably the best meal they had. They had different meals throughout the day. Endless amount of sodas. I I was in the cafeteria where they served it. At one point, I was just eating up there for a split second. I had a bunch of meals, bunch of trips up there. But one time I was up there, I think it was when I was eating the chicken tenders. So they had the race on, but I saw a driver walk by throughout the window outside the media center. And I was like, that looks like Austin Dillon. And it was Austin Dillon, turns out, because I saw he was out of the race. I did not know he left the race of the truck series. And it turned out that was Austin. Or it was the Xfinity series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was in the Xfinity series, not the truck. So it was the Xfinity series, so he had left that race. And, he's walking out. I didn't get to see him up close, but I saw him outside the window, saw a distance. One of the coolest things about being in the media center, though, was definitely being able to interview drivers. I did not have a personal question, but other people around had personal questions. I didn't have enough background to ask a question. What was cool about the truck series, the regular season had just ended, so they had
their finale. Yeah,
they had all 10 drivers who made the playoffs come in and answer questions, which was pretty cool. And then Ty Gibbs, as you mentioned, won the Xfinity Series. He was the only one that came in after, so that was pretty cool. It's amazing how quickly he chugs those Monster Energies. He's only 18. He wasn't even old enough to drink the sponsor of the race.
Screwball peanut butter whiskey.
Yeah, but I did, in the middle of all the whole day, I did make my walk around to the Seneca Grandstand.
Down in turn 1.
Am I saying that right?
Yep, Seneca. Yep.
And I found Paul, and I sat with him for a couple races. It was actually, to be honest, in the pit road, you don't get a really good look at the track. When you're walking around, there's really not a great look at the track. So when I was sitting with Paul, that was like my first and only time I got to actually watch the race, which was pretty cool. Didn't see a crash, but we saw a guy spin out there for a little bit. But that was pretty cool. Took a video of that as well. Yeah, definitely all around great experience. I definitely would go back. Definitely would take the media route.
Wouldn't we all?
That made it a lot better. I did admit.
Now, I remember telling you a couple key things for you. Did you get in anybody's way?
No,
Good job.
Other than that truck that crashed, he was driving by, he was coming up behind us, but
you didn't get in the way. Good job, Nick.
Don't need earplugs there.
Yeah, you don't really need them there because they get spread out enough.
Yeah,
obviously,
when they're on the other side of the track.
Well,
and obviously when they're going by, it's hard to have a conversation.
But, the key thing with Watkins Glen too, at least from the fan side of things, from say the outside portion of the track, what helps there is the exhaust pipes are on the other side of the vehicles, as opposed to say like for instance Richmond, where I go to every year. You definitely wouldn't need earplugs there. The exhaust is literally right in front of you. So
right. And you slow down a lot of road course.
Yep.
So
it's good to hear, Nick.
I would, if you're first time, sure, take earplugs. But Watkins, I would say you really don't need them. But you know what? It was a great experience. I enjoyed it. I would definitely go back. I was thinking like terrible traffic. It wasn't as bad as I imagined.
Friday and Saturday are definitely not as bad.
No, I thought I was going to be. That's why I left later, because I wanted to let all the traffic get in first before I go. And it wasn't that bad at all. Even going through Watkins wasn't that bad either, which is a little bit off the way. But I don't know, Paul. How many times you been to Watkins now? For the main race?
Since 2014. Obviously not last year, but since 2014,
Straight.
yeah.
That was your first time in 2014.
Yep. Me, Matt, and Andrew made the trek down all together, so I think it was their first. It was their first race at the time. It was their first NASCAR races, and my first time in person for NASCAR since 2009 at the time. I think it was.
They got to keep the other two races too. Makes the weekend more like.
Oh, absolutely. That's the part that's nice. Obviously, right? In years past, they've only typically had run the 3. It wasn't ARCA yet. It was called the Pro Series East on Friday.
What happened to that series?
Well, through a couple of mergers, buyouts, whatever you want to call it. So now ARCA runs there Fridays, the Friday race. And then Trucks came back. Trucks and ARCA were scheduled to be on the slate last year. But they were both back for the first time. I think ARCA was like 2001 and Trucks since 2000. First time they had been back since then.
Yeah, like a couple of the guys that answer questions from the Truck Series, they're like, I had never been to Watkins. They asked if they'd ever been to Watkins. Never even been there.
Yep.
So
I'm guessing probably the ones that you were there for were probably like Carson Hocevar and probably like Stuart Friesen, those guys. But yeah.
Everybody made the truck playoffs.
Yep.
Was there.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Can't wait to go back, really. Obviously, Watkins, by far my favorite track. First time I had a headset and scanner, that was pretty cool. On my own anyway. I've had it once before, but I was sharing it with somebody. But probably have to buy my own. It's a bit addictive, not going to lie. Hearing all the inside communications and stuff like that's pretty neat. So, Nick, I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it, obviously. I know it's something that we had always said we need to try and get you to because I know you would thrive in a NASCAR party situation.
Yeah, I want to go on that party deck. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, so we'll figure out someone to get you there as a pure fan. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. I know, like, obviously, I mean, Saturday ended up not being as bad heat-wise because of the rain that ended up going through at the end of the truck race. But, man, Sunday, like, I had a few beers. I'm like, they're just sweating right through me, and it's doing more dehydration than your hydration. I mean,
at least it didn't rain as much.
You are a literal hot dog in the grandstands there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm used to it. It's one of those things where it's just like, damn.
I know the Truck Series got cut 11 laps short, but at least it didn't rain as much.
No, I mean, technically for that, it was actually more lightning delay than anything else. So.
And they wanted to get that Xfinity in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they ran on time.
By the way, not NASCAR related, but Watkins related as a whole. Nichols Plate Barbecue in downtown Watkins Glen.
I've never had it.
Paul Russo seal of approval. I swear, they might have the best greens I've ever had in my life.
Really?
Best greens. The brisket was on point. The pork was on point.
Really?
The beans were on point. And oh my God, the cornbread. Oh.
Wow.
On point. Place slaps. I wanted to try they have things they're called the pig wings, where it's more or less just like fried like strips of pork. They sold out of those, so instead I ended up just getting the chicken wings to try. And I got their everything rub. Oh my God.
It's called what?
The everything rub.
No, the place?
Nichols Plate Barbecue. Right on whatever Main Street's called. I think Franklin Street, whatever.
Been to Gerlando's yet?
Oh my God. That place is amazing. 10 out of 10. Recommend.
Have you been to Gerlando's Pizza yet?
No.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's the best pizza I've ever had.
They have barbecue there?
Probably.
No, they don't.
Barbecue pizza?
I mean, they probably have like barbecue chicken. I'm talking, do they have barbecue there? Like Nichols Plate Barbecue.
No. I'll have to stop by.
We have to go as a squad. That place slaps, dude. If you're going, you need to invite me. If not, I will like murder you.
All right. I'll let you know.
All right. Let's talk about that Field of Dreams game.
That was something, wasn't it?
Because even as a Yankee fan, I thought that was a great game overall. Can't get too upset. Excuse me. I mean, sure, the White Sox walked off the Yanks, but that's not the main purpose. Let's start with the basics. Field of Dreams game is coming back next year. August 11th, your Nick's beloved hometown Chicago Cubs take on Nick's beloved hometown Cincinnati Reds in the second edition of the Field of Dreams game. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I'm not more mad about that. I'm more mad that the Phillies or Pirates are not in the Elite Classic this year.
Well, that's a different discussion. I do like the fact that they got Cleveland involved, though. They're kind of close enough by, but either way. That's a different discussion. We're here for the Field of Dreams game, Nick. What did you think? Because let me preface this with this. I know you're not one of these big pomp and circumstance guys when it comes to baseball overall. Actually, I'm on backtrack one more. Have you ever seen Field of Dreams, the movie?
I have seen parts of it.
Okay.
I've seen parts of it.
Okay. So what did you think of I guess, let's start here. What did you think of like the pregame stuff with Kevin Costner?
I did watch that. Yeah.
Okay.
That was pretty cool. That was really cool because, what a game, too. It was a great game. Obviously, initial reaction of the game, disappointed it's not the real field. I
don't think it's a full-size field, by the way.
It's got to be not.
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news.
And it's also a museum. It's a museum. You don't want to ruin that. You don't want to make it different. Mm-hmm. You want to be just like the movie, Mm-hmm. But you also want to attract people. But, the corn maze was dope.
Apparently, a few players from each team got lost in it at some point during the day.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely. They got it right with them coming out of the corn maze to start the game, and that's just how they do in the movie too. All those players that come out and shake his hand, some of them. So, yeah, that was cool. Great game. It's definitely, they say because Iowa, those states, they don't have a lot of professional sports in that area. So it was kind of cool to just, have them come for one game like that. I've heard the rumor of don't just have it be Field of Dreams, have it be other movies as well. Wouldn't it be pretty cool to have one at the Sandlot?
They would have to do a lot of finding of a big enough plot.
Wouldn't it be cool to have a game at the Sandlot?
I think it'd be better to have a game at Steel Stadium.
Where's that?
Wait, did you just say where's Steel Stadium? Did you not play backyard baseball?
Oh, I was thinking that, but I was like, there's no way he's talking about backyard baseball.
I need to walk away.
I'm just trying to think top of my head. What would be cool?
Major League.
Bad News Bears. My favorite baseball movie, by the way. Bad News Bears. Next is my next is I think it's Little Big League. But yeah, it was cool to make a game off a movie like that. So, and 30 years later, that's pretty cool. Definitely needed Kevin Costner there, so that was clutch. They got him for that opening. Yeah, it's definitely cool. And what a game. Love the jerseys. Throwback. Yeah, that's really all I got to say on it. I mean, what did you think about it?
Oh, I thought it was awesome. Field of Dreams, one of my favorite movies kind of in general. Obviously, the movie, no pun intended, is pretty corny. And the game was pretty corny. But, yeah, I mean, it was so cool seeing the guys come out of the corn, having Costner there. Had a couple of the other actors there, like Dwyer Brown, who played John Kinsella, Ray's dad in the movie.
Was James Earl Jones there?
No. James Earl Jones, fun fact, not a big baseball guy.
Really?
Yep.
Just acting.
But overall, really cool. I can't wait to see kind of how the Cubs and Reds do it next year.
I know
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what jerseys they roll with, but now we're getting way too far down the line.
They gonna come out of the cornfield again?
Oh, 100%. They got to. Yeah, I mean, it was super cool. You gotta give Manfred props. Ugh. God. Ugh.
No.
Hold on, wait a second. Oh, yeah, we're still breathing. But, yeah, MLB and Manfred really aced this one. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was super cool. I thought it was cool how the players all were really behind it. And for a one-day deal, personally, I think it'd be cool to do like a whole series there. Mm-hmm. I think it's tough. Obviously the Yankees and White Sox had that next day off, that Friday off, to get back to Chicago to finish the series. Would a series probably take away the mystique of it? 100%. But I think if you're a player, you'd much rather just do a whole series there than anything else. So, But overall, hats off. I think this definitely opens up. I mean, you look at what the MLB's kind of been doing the past few years with stuff like this. Obviously, Nick, you brought up the Little League Classic. That's happening again this weekend with the Indians and Angels. And that's something that's been really well received in the past. I don't know how well received it's going to be this year, given the fact that the MLB took away Williamsport's true minor league franchise, and now it's part of their rookie development thing. But, I think that's obviously another different discussion for a different segment or podcast episode. But, I mean, yeah, like I said, you look at the stuff that they've been doing, right? Mariners have been the ones who predominantly done obviously the Japan series. And I think
in Mexico, didn't they?
Yeah, there was a game in Mexico that was scheduled. I think it was supposed to be like Padres Astros or something like that initially.
It never happened.
Last year it didn't happen. There was nothing planned this year, obviously, because they didn't know with COVID. I think a couple years ago, what was it? Dodgers and somebody, I can't remember who did that first one. So I think it's a really great way to expand the game a little bit. Obviously, people have joked about, and this is the tough part with baseball movies in general. I mean, where would you pick? I mean, you have to think about some of the best baseball movies of all time, right? To a degree, right? So, you brought up, for instance, Little Big League, right? That was played in the Metrodome. Obviously, that doesn't exist technically anymore, but that played at obviously Major League time-correct stadium, right? So there would be no mystique there with that. Moneyball played obviously at Oco. That's still even in play today. Rookie of the Year, obviously Wrigley Field. Major League I brought up, obviously, even though that wasn't technically filmed in Cleveland. That was filmed at the time in stadium and time-correct places such as Milwaukee County. Obviously, it's torn down. I mean, American Family Ballpark literally now stands in its place. And then it was also filmed for Major League 2 at Camden Yards. Nothing, not take away Camden Yards, obviously, but, I mean, that's a place that still holds games. So, and then obviously at that point, like I brought up the Sandlot, you brought up Bad News Bears. At that point, you'd have to try and get the format right to try and get it correct dimension compared to whatever that would be for the other ones. So I think this one certainly has its own corner. I don't think the MLB's going to really try and do anything different with it. So I look forward to stuff like that, right? I mean, I don't know where the MLB's next frontier is with a game quite like this, right? I've kind of always wondered, because they do like a preseason game every year in Montreal with the Blue Jays and some team. I'd love to see a regular season game, even though they have a single A team. I'd love to see a regular season game in Vancouver. I think that'd be pretty well received, at least up north in Canada. At that point, I think this is me now wandering down a different type of path, right? I mean, AAA baseball at the time had teams all over the place. So one of the teams most famously for nothing more than just their name was the Hawaii Islanders. I think it'd be cool to kind of maybe play a Major League game back out in Hawaii. Obviously that one is a logistical nightmare and a half. That one would have to be a whole series. That'd be pretty much, I mean, obviously it's not time-wise the same as going to Japan, but it would have the Japan
That's what I would
feel.
say, game in Hawaii.
Yeah. So, and obviously in the past, MLB has done games in Puerto Rico. They've done that fairly kind of recently.
Alaska?
They did a game in Cuba back in the late 90s. I don't know how well that'd go over now. Even as recently, they did a preseason game there a few years ago that had extremely mixed reviews at the time, and I believe would not be in the best interest to go ahead and do that again anytime soon. So, overall, big props to Field of Dreams game. Happy it's coming back, and it's provided great content for us who play the show. So,
you can play on that field?
Yep. It's a unlockable stadium card. I
think it'd be cool to play other countries or something like that.
Yeah.
Or even like Alaska would be dope.
Alaska would be cool because Alaska has a really weird underground sports community. They actually have a NASCAR, the only NASCAR sanctioned track in Alaska. By far, it probably has one of the coolest backdrops I've ever seen for a track, for instance. So I can only imagine what they would be able to do with a baseball field.
I'd love to see them do it like college basketball does sometimes. I haven't done it recently, but...
Oh, like the one on the battleship?
Yeah, play a game on a boat or something.
Oh, baseball, I don't think you'd really be able to do that.
Nah.
Just size-wise, I think it'd be tough.
It would be.
And also, you're playing on
Wouldn't it be
pavement.
sick if
you're playing on concrete, steel, and pavement.
Wouldn't it be sick if the fence was all like
it was just you falling off the ship?
Yeah. But it was high enough where you can't fall off. But like that was the outfield. It's in the water.
That's sketchy. It's a lot of insurance type deal there. So
we'll see.
All right, Nick, let's jump into our last topic with Big Brother. Obviously, season 23, we're officially at jury, as we call it, right? They are making it an interesting week in the house, potentially.
Should we give a spoiler counter?
I'll let you go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
Spoiler counter?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. If you are not caught up to this point in time with, Big Brother, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, Nick.
Yes, we are at jury now. We've had 5 people go home. That's how it's been doing it since I've been watching. 5 people go. There's 16 people in the season. 5 go before the jury. And it sucks for those 5 because, you feel like you're not really part of the show as these guys who are on the jury. They get to decide who wins the game at the end. The 9 people of the 11 are on the jury. The 2 are in the finals. So they really feel like they're in the game once you get to the top 11, which is jury. The game started, if you know, Frenchie won the first HOH, and it was probably one of the worst HOHs that you could ever have. He's making way too many alliances, making promises that he can't keep, and he trusted just too many people. He was trusting everyone in the house, and it backfired on him. He did get out Travis on after he put him up at the veto meeting. So he did get out a big male threat, as we would have seen. He could have been a big physical threat, but we don't know. Travis, he seemed pretty clueless in his 1 week that he played in the game. But Frenchie hurt him in week 2 as he went home off of Kylan's HOH. Then week 3, Xavier's HOH took out Brent, who was aligned with Frenchie.
Mm-hmm.
Week 4, Christian's HOH took out Whitney when he probably should have took out Derek X because Derek X won HOH the 5th week, and he took out Christian on a back door, even though Christian tried as hard as he could to try to not be put up by Derek X. And, he took out Christian, who's probably the biggest threat physically in the game at that point. Now it could be Derek X. It could be the biggest physical threat right now, mentally as well. And he's got alliance. So we're in the top 6. There's a few alliances out there. The number 1 best alliance is the Cookout. They have 6 people in it. Tiffany, Azza, Derek F, Xavier, Kylan, and Hannah. That's the Cookout. That's 6 of the 11. That's really good to get a 6-person alliance into the jury. None of them have ever gone home, and it doesn't look like they're going to go home this week, as HOH is Kylan once again, and he put up Claire, and he put up
Derek F
as a pawn. His target is Claire, trying to get out Claire, who's aligned with Tiffany, because they were with teams. They were in teams, There was the Jokers, the Aces, the Kings, and the Queens. Kylan and Claire were teamed up with
what do we think in the long run here of the teams aspect of it?
It's a good idea, but it didn't work this season because there was just too many people like Frenchie and Brent who were just house targets. Everyone wanted them out, even their own teams. Their own teams were throwing challenges to get out these guys, to get out Brent especially, and they went home. Luckily, Derek F did, give out a pity vote for Frenchie, just so he didn't go out unanimously. Brian's went out unanimously. But yeah, haven't seen too many rogue votes since the first one. And Christian went last week. He was lined with Alyssa. They were a showmance. Another showmance, but not a showmance. It's a showmance that's not a showmance. That's Hannah and Derek X. No real showmance, but they're a power duo. And right now I think they're the strongest duo in the house. And so they're not going to go for him this week. It looks like Claire, unless she's, unless she can save herself, Vito's on tomorrow. So we'll see if she can save herself. But it looks like Kylan might get his way again. Took out Frenchie in week 2. Might take out Claire in week 6. And be the first member of the jury. I doubt there's a jury battle back just because of COVID. I haven't been seeing any battle backs the last 2 seasons. I say playing the best game, I still think is Tiffany. Even though she would lose Claire potentially this week, I still think she's playing the best game because everything she's really wanted has kind of worked. And she's got this alliance to back her up in the cookout. And, I think Derek X is the biggest physical threat in the game. Mentally, he's the best player right now. Right now, because he made the move with Chris, he could be playing the best game. But I think even after this week, they're going to start looking at him as a big threat. See what Hannah does. Hannah's pretty attached to him. I don't know. It should be interesting because it's starting to get good. We're finally starting to get a little bit of drama these last week with the whole Christian vote off, the eviction. So it's interesting because we had the wild card competition. Now we have this high rollers room, which is kind of hard to explain what the high rollers room is. You just have to watch. There's so many there's a chance to win some powers in this game. It's going to go on for at least, I think, 3 weeks. So that's going to be huge at the start of the jury. You can get a power or something. Person I'm rooting for is Brittany because I like to root for the underdog. But Brittany has no idea what's going on in that house. So she's just there. We'll see how far she goes. I don't know. I think the cookout's going to run it. There's just no threat of them going home. They're just dominating the game. It becomes a boring game when a large alliance just rolls through the competition and not even a threat of one of them going home. It just makes it a little bit boring, but that's how you play the game. Yes, you want to be part of that strong 6 alliance, but there's some cracks in it. One with Hannah with Derek X is by far the biggest crack. There's no doubt about that. Maybe a little bit with Kylan and Sarah Beth. He does care about Sarah Beth, but he's also said he's more towards the alliance. But the biggest crack is definitely Hannah and Derek X. I'd like to see what Hannah does if Derek X becomes a target 1 week. It's not going to be this week because Kylan's very close to him. So, I don't know. Paul, what do you enjoying it? Your third
Yeah,
season?
I mean, this one's been certainly, I think, the best of the 3 I've seen so far.
Well, there's only one to compete with because last season.
Fair enough. So, I mean, kind of going back to the cookout thing, right? Like, the only person who was necessarily onto them was Christian. Obviously, he's out of the house. And the only person who has probably any inkling of it is Derek X. That's because Tiffany blew their cover when she was talking to both him and Hannah. So, it's tough because obviously it's 6-5 when you look at that alliance to compare to the others. But there are certainly cracks within that alliance at this point. Very noticeable cracks. Derek F. and Tiffany don't see eye to eye. You have Kylan not seeing eye to eye with, I believe, Hannah and Azza. Azza's not a big fan of, like, Tiffany and Kylan at this point.
Xavier seems to be the peacemaker.
Yeah, Xavier is definitely the peacemaker, but I can see him in the long run. If he needs to bail on them, he'll bail. Only because I think he's been the only person to fully recognize that this thing is not.
He should realize he's got to listen to his back pocket.
Yeah, so I think he also knows that he's the only one within that alliance to realize that it's not as great as they probably think it is. It only is working at this point because they have the numbers. So I think we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting. Obviously, you mentioned the high roller room. I mean, I did the math on this. Like, technically, nobody can get to the biggest game in there, in theory. Obviously, I don't think it will happen. I think somebody will, but...
there's other ways you can earn.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, too, that we don't know about yet. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting here.
No surprise that Brittany and the two Derricks got the 100.
This is going to be a very pivotal tomorrow veto, in my opinion. Especially if Claire is able to take herself off the block.
It could be 2 vetoes.
Yeah. Then at that point, who do you put up if you're Kylan? I think at that point you do have to put up people in your alliance on purpose as opposed to what you do with Derek F. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens at this point.
Who are you rooting for?
The Derricks.
I like the Derricks.
I mean, obviously you don't like her. I think Hannah's actually a decent player. I certainly don't think she's an all-time great. I don't even think she's probably the best on this season, but she's playing a fairly smart game overall.
And a lot of time when you hear,
you just kind of have to like survive and keep your neck out of the way.
A lot of times when you make the jury, that's like the start of your game. Like people can start really making moves now. Yeah. Like, people can coast to the jury, not say a lot, like a Claire. But I don't know if she's going to have enough time because she's already become a target. But, so this is when you start to make some moves. This is when you start to build your resume, as they say. Start to prove that you are the best in this game. But the only way you can prove you're the best is get to the end at first. And that's when alliances come together. You got to have a strong alliance. You got to have a strong 2. I think you got to have at least a 3.
Yep.
3-person alliance seem to make it there. It's just you got to give up on one at the end.
So we'll see. I think tomorrow's a very pivotal. Like I said, I think tomorrow's a pivotal night. Obviously, it's already occurred, but for us viewers, it's a pivotal night tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And to see what is up.
And another person hits the door.
Yep.
So, watch it. CBS, 8 o'clock. This is the veto episode. Some people say that's the best episode of the week. What do you like? Sunday episode? Wednesday? Thursday?
I mean, I like Thursday because you get usually like the most drama out of that for, obvious reasons. I understand you get HOH and it's exciting, but Sundays just never, they always have like a draggy vibe.
And now we can watch endurance HOHs.
Yep.
We can buy Paramount Plus.
You can. I'm not. All right, Nick. Speaking of end, obviously, we're at the end of our show.
Yes.
Who are you shouting out this week?
I am shouting out my sister, Samantha Felice. Probably shouted her out before, no doubt. She started teaching again. She's back at school. She goes to camp in Pennsylvania, camp counselor. Now she's back being a guidance counselor down in Asheboro, North Carolina. Shout out to Samantha. Hope you're doing well. Haven't seen you in a while. Hopefully see you at the holidays. But shout out to Samantha. See you later. Paul's got some big news about her show coming up.
Oh, that's true. No, we can do it together. So, obviously, we're going to be off next week, kind of like as we usually do during the summer, right? But after that, August 31st, Nick, it's football season.
Yep, we're back.
August 31st will be our fantasy football and college football preview show. Then we're right back at it the next week, September 7th, NFL preview. And then we're on every Tuesday pretty much after that until whenever. Football season, we're back in it.
And I expect to get some guests during this football season. We're going to have some guests.
As long as Delta doesn't completely F us up.
So stay tuned. Enjoy the off week next week. Back at it 2 weeks from now.
All right, guys. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff for Finger Lakes Fun to help us out, help them out. I forget other stuff, but thanks, Nick. We'll catch everybody in 2 weeks for football preview stuff. We're back in it.